I'd like to call this meeting to order. Stand for the allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I'd like to explain, I work at Hesperia Community Schools and they were gracious enough to lend us this owl camera for the meeting. It's a little bit last minute. And I was able, this is kind of a trial run because I'd like to be able to Zoom all of our meetings and purchase one of the owl cameras ourselves. And as you probably noticed, the camera kind of spins. It goes 360 degrees. So whoever starts talking, it finds your voice and it will put your picture up here. And so I did select just a couple people to help me try it out and see if this is something we can use and do moving forward. So the next thing on our agenda is roll call. Wayne Ferris.
Here.
Mary Hopkins. Here. Jay Peasley.
Here.
Rick Robertson.
Here.
Mike Rosema.
Here.
Jen Sherburne is here. And Jan Wilson is one of our Zoom members that's zooming in. She will be participating, but she will not be able to vote. And she regretfully wasn't able to be here in person. I would also like to welcome Mary and Wayne to their first public hearing and regular meeting to follow this. And thank everyone that took the time to come this evening. The purpose of today's public hearing is for 3 marijuana facilities currently operating in Newfield Township to present information regarding their marijuana grow facilities and hear information regarding their request for renewal permits. Tonight's public hearing will allow residents of Newfield Township and the public an opportunity to voice their concerns or support, as well as to ask questions of these 3 businesses. The 3 agricultural businesses presenting and requesting renewal permits tonight are RQMI, a grow facility located on 186th Avenue, True North Collective, a grow facility located at 200th and Yonker Avenue, and High Cloud LLC, a grow and processing facility located on M20. Each business will be given 3 minutes. Please be mindful. Each business will be given 3 minutes to share information pertaining to their grow and/or processing facility. Following the presentations, there will be approximately 10 minutes allotted for public comments and questions. Questions posed by residents will be answered by the applicants and be limited to a 2-minute time frame. In keeping with the rules for public hearings, please wait to be called on by myself. Please state your name and address. Proper decorum will be maintained during the hearing. There will be no yelling, cursing, or interrupting of speakers. Speakers will be recognized only one time unless the chair determines that additional comments are warranted. I'd like to welcome RQMI. You may begin your presentation.
I'm going to, if you permit me, I'm going to stand up.
Absolutely, sounds great. Thank you.
And I'm starting my timer so that I can be held to account. Ready to go. My name is Kyle Holland. I represent RQMI LLC, the cultivation operation on 186th, specifically 2514 South 186th Avenue. We're calling ourselves Oceana Garden. Ocean Gardens. It's got an S on it. I'm here with some of the rest of the team, and thank you for allowing me to present. We've tendered an application to the township to renew the farm operations that we've already undertaken. We don't necessarily want to be judged on what we promised. We'd like to be judged on what we've done. We've operated a cannabis farm in a completely compliant manner. We have 0 blemishes, either on the state level or the local level. We don't want to be judged on what we promised to do. We want to be judged on what we've done. We've supported the community. We've been invited by the zoning administrator, Mr. Micklin, to participate at trash pickup days which have been productive and a great way to meet everyone and contribute. We had a wonderful opportunity to distribute turkeys over the Thanksgiving holiday to those people that most deserve them. That was a really cold day, by the way, and thanks to the trustees that helped out. I want to make a request to the commission that our application be approved based on our good faith and our support of the community. I'd also like to make a distinction between what we do and what others might do. I want to note that in Michigan, if you're over 21, you have the privilege to grow cannabis. We're a little more restricted than just anyone. We don't grow cannabis in our backyards. Lots of people do, and a lot of times that is for personal use. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes people abuse that privilege. They grow more than they're allowed. They bend the rules. Perhaps some of that cannabis ends up on the black market. We don't support that. Everything we do, everything we do in our operations is compliance first. All of the cannabis that we produce on our farm is accounted for through the state tracking and inventory system called Metric. All of our actions are reported on video cameras. We can't bend the rules, and we don't. We are good actors, and we do not contribute to the black market. There are some people who do, and we're in the business of putting them out of business, quite honestly, because eventually the black market isn't going to be profitable, because we're going to do a thriving business. We're going to bring business and opportunity to the community.
Thank you, Kyle.
I'd like to stick around and answer questions.
Yes,
if
please.
that's appropriate.
Yes, please. Is it all right if we let the other two facilities present and then do a collective
I'll have
question?
a seat.
Okay, thank you. True North Collective.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Johnny Griffiths, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of True North Collective. We're based out of Jackson, Michigan, so about 2 hours and 45 minutes down the middle of the state. This will be our second year operating here in Hesperia. We're asking for renewal of our 8 existing permits for outdoor cannabis cultivation. A little bit about our company. Like I said, we're Jackson-based, we're a Michigan-based company. We have about 50 employees at the site, processing and grow facility. We have several brands. We make concentrates, smokable flower that we grow, and we have an edible brand. So our farm up here is basically for production of oil, cannabis distilled oil to support our different endeavors at our Jackson facility, mostly the edible line. So all the cannabis grown up here is not extracted or anything at this facility. It's merely grown, dried, and shipped down to the Jackson facility. We really enjoyed our time up here. It's been a pretty smooth sailing, I think, for most of the companies up here, and been very welcoming from the board. Mr. Micklin's been very helpful getting us all set up and licensed appropriately. It's been quite enjoyable. We didn't have much of a harvest season this year. Everybody got started pretty late with all the licensing, some setbacks like that. So we had a very, very small, quick harvest. But this year we intend to fulfill all 8 of our permits with the state as well, and grow about 14,000 plants at the facility there on 200 and Yonker. So not too far away. So that's basically about us, and we'll be here to answer any questions as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And High Cloud LLC.
My name is Andrew Kelly. I've been here about a year. Had a good time working with everybody in town. I own High Cloud LLC. here in M20. You guys can see, came in kind of late, started building everything. Everything that was built and put into this farm was from around the area, rather Hesperia or the neighboring towns. All the metal that was purchased was from a metal company not too far from here. The building that was built there was also from a company that was from around the area, which had 13 employees. Building itself was Water Menards, which is the closest Menards. Local contractors, so all the money that we spent basically here was into this town. So we're here asking today for a renewal. It was a good, fun time for me being here for the whole year. I haven't had any issues at all. We're also asking for 8 extra licenses. Last year, we were not fully occupied. It was the first year, went in late. We tried to kind of test the market, test the ground, and we did okay, besides the fact that we went in late. This year, we're hoping to go in earlier so we can get a better profit, get a better system. We're still waiting for our processing equipment. We waited almost 6 months to get power in the building. They were finally putting power in the building yesterday and today, not yesterday, today and Friday. I believe it'll be done by tomorrow or the following day, so we can bring our extraction equipment and we can have open 24/7, basically, not 24/7, but like, you know, all year round, 10, 15 hours a day. So that would create more jobs and more opportunities for people around here.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yep.
All right, at this time, I would like to open it up to public comments. Remember to state your name and your address, please.
I'm not going to my address, I'm here of retaliation, but my name is Francine Bryce.
Okay,
For months now, many of us tax-paying landowners have come to both the board meetings and planning commission meetings. We've expressed our concerns on the probability of having as many as 10 marijuana grow facilities in our 6 mile by 6 mile township. After attempting to compromise to limit the amount of facilities in our township, which was turned down by the board, we began the process of undertaking a recall of the Newfield Township Board. I have been canvassing the township, gathering signatures, and I would like to share with you some of the issues people have expressed to me. Number 1, quote, "Why was this issue not put before the voters of Newfield Township to let the people decide? Denver Township said no to marijuana. Weir Township put the vote to the people." Number 2, "We have moved or retired here for nature, hunting, fishing, kayaking, a quiet life, not to walk outside of our homes and smell skunk." Number 3, "What about water consumption and herbicide pesticide usage? Will our wells go dry?" Number 4, "If the township board doesn't shape up, we will be moving." Number 5, "No one will buy my land because it's next to a grow facility, which will reduce my land value." As a canvasser, I am currently finding 70 to 80% of the people that we approach are signing the petitions. There are a considerable number of people that use marijuana products, but do not want these facilities. They are also signing the petitions. The board continues to say we are bringing jobs to Newfield Township. We would much rather see development that helps our people, not large city municipal investors. They are not vested in the people of Newfield Township. Again, we are asking the township board and the planning commission to hear us and please stop and start denying issuing marijuana applications and permits. Thank you.
thank you, Francine. In the back.
Tim Draper, 184th Avenue. So one thing addressing the growth facilities, I've heard there's been no non-conformances. There's been no problems at all. I was able to sit down with Steve Micklin the other day and look at his reports from when he went out and inspected the facilities. And all three facilities did have violations on his reports. I don't know if those have been corrected or if he's followed up on it or not, but I will just say that I didn't bring the copies with me, but all those facilities did have violations.
And this is the opportunity for any of the facilities that if they'd like to respond to that.
Sure. Yeah, so the state requires that all plants are tagged in the seed to sale tracking application called Metric, this gentleman mentioned earlier. And so Steve, noted that we didn't have the tags applied to the plants, but we corrected him and showed them where those plant tags were on the plants. They get to a size and they can fall down on the plant. There's a lot of soil under that, so we just showed them where those tags were, and we were good to go after that. So.
Thank you.
Jacqueline David, Loop Road. Acknowledging the good the commission, township board have done for our community and will continue to do so is the foundation for all abundance. The township was invited out front for a prayer. My prayer is thank you. Thank you is the best prayer anyone could say. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. I want to say thank you to the planning commission and the township board. It's always difficult working with the public and impossible to make everybody happy, but they have done an extraordinary job with their hard work and dedication with all they have to do, and they will continue to have mine and many others support. So thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Hi, Lisa here at 176. I just want to ask the facility owners, according to our ordinance in the township, it says that we're supposed to have applications and fees in by November 30th. Did everybody get their applications and money in by November 30th?
I'll answer that. Okay, the reason that we're having a public hearing today and going through this process is because no, they did not make their November deadline.
Okay,
So since they did not make that deadline, this is being handled as if it was a new application. Otherwise, it would be an administrative renewal.
right, absolutely. No, thank you for that. I just know as a business owner myself, if I don't get my applications in, if I don't get those things in, I lose jobs. So just, if you don't get them in on time, that's a move for no commits.
Thank you, Lacey. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I have some comments, I don't have any questions, I do have some comments, so.
Do you mind stating your name and address, please?
My name is Brian Sukup, I live at Hightower Lake Road. I moved to Hesperia in the fall of 2017 with my wife and my dog, and we're retired. I don't have a dog in this fight, so I think my opinion is unbiased. I don't know anybody here with the exception of Steve, I believe, Joan, who I went to a couple of meetings and you're kind of lukewarm with my ideas, but that's okay. I think those are the only people I know in this whole room, so I do believe I do have an unbiased opinion. So my thoughts on this subject about medical marijuana and grow facilities are as follows. I think there are some legitimate questions. I hear you talk about property values, environmental impact, maybe certain Newfield Township. Property values, let's address that. Data in other states indicate that grow facilities have not had a negative impact on home values. Research by Zillow and the National Association of Realtors, among many others, have confirmed this. Now, closer to home. Thursday, I talked to some folks at Twin Creek Realty in Everett, Michigan. They have a room facility there. And I talked to them, and I have a quote here. I talked to Cheryl Jackson. And she said that the growth facilities have not affected the real estate market at all. She said, as soon as we get a listing, it flies off the market. She said, their problem in Everett is they can't keep listing. She said, regardless of where the property is, it flies off the market. Rosemary Davis Realtors in Marshall, Michigan, they have a really big facility there. they stated, I talked to them, they said that growth facilities have not had a negative impact on housing prices, and the housing market is strong. Now, of course, there's a lot of factors that influence housing markets. I call those two facilities because housing has also done well in other states that have had it for a while, Oregon and so forth, and Colorado, but I wanted to get closer to home. The environmental impact, what I found out is this: it's an extremely well-regulated industry, And the Michigan marijuana growing and processing operations are subject to the Department of Environmental and Great Lakes Energy regulations for material management. The licensee is responsible to comply with applicable regulations. There's a lot of regulations.
Brian, I'm almost out of time.
Oh, shoot. All right, folks. Okay, the future of Newfield Township. It's a growing industry statewide, 3 billion with the impact of 7.8 billion total, 23,700 jobs will be added in Michigan. This is a study done by Michigan State University. The medical marijuana industry is honorable, I believe, and it's a necessary industry. The uses for medical marijuana are many. And one statistic, I have to cut this short. Since 1999, 841,000 people have died in the United States of drug overdose. Okay. In Michigan, since 2014 to 2019, this is according to the CDC, 13,759. I have a challenge for everybody in this room that thinks medical marijuana is bad. Go online when you come to the meeting tomorrow. How many of those folks died from medical marijuana overdose? No, those who know the answer, don't say it, because the answer is going to surprise you. I support the renewal.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Talbot. I own property and operate an agribusiness on 186th Avenue, Johnson Road. For the record, I'm not representing any interest other than my own here tonight. I want to go on record and urge you as opposing the permit of marijuana production facilities in the township. To be clear, my opposition is not directed at any deficiency of the existing facilities themselves. I believe they're legally established businesses. But in review of the process, I believe the Planning Commission and Board accomplished the absolute minimum required by law to allow for permitting these facilities. And in doing so, I contend that you failed your constituents. In support of my position, I referred you to the document published last October by the Township Board titled for Newfield Township Board Meeting 10/19/21 Fact Sheet. Unquote. Item 1 of the sheet identifies the 2008 statewide referendum on medical marijuana, which passed in Newfield Township by a significant 12% margin. 10 years later, item 2 of the document identifies a 2018 statewide referendum on recreational marijuana, which passed in Newfield Township by a slim 2% margin. Item 3 then of the fact sheet then states, apparently in reference to items 1 and 2, quote, therefore, the residents of Newfield Township were in favor of marijuana. Unquote. So based on 2 referendums occurring 10 years apart on issues totally unrelated to establishing marijuana facilities in the township, the Planning Commission and Board determined that the residents of Newfield Township approved of establishing marijuana production facilities in the township. I find an extreme overreach. This determination is the root cause of the current issue with the Planning Commission and Board. It is my contention that the township residents should have been given the opportunity to vote on this specific issue. Do you approve of establishing marijuana production facilities in Newfield Township? If you do, then how many facilities do you want? I've also lobbied that it's not too late to remedy this issue. A special election could and should be held to determine if the residents approve. The Planning Commission and Board could then move forward with the results. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. God bless America.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sharita Prawn, and I live in the village of Pescaria. And I didn't know about this until recently. I should have been attending meetings before now. My husband and I moved here about 3 years ago, sought to a quiet, nice area. I have many concerns, but I guess my main one is if they did not get all the proper paperwork in and for the permit request, by November, then we should be starting at ground zero, which means you guys have the opportunity to bring it to a vote of the people. You guys are supposed to represent us, not yourselves, not these companies. And we live here, we have grandchildren that come here. And we would like to be have it be a nice, safe community. And as far as marijuana not killing anybody, it leads to other things that do. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
I got one.
Oh, go ahead.
Frank Carson, 1584 South 200th Avenue. I would like to say that I am all for the large grows because I want to keep the black market out of it. If you let these people with little bitty amounts do it, they're gonna be selling it to their buddies out the back door. And that's no good. The tighter you can regulate them, as in the bigger businesses, I think you're gonna see more honesty. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Brett.
I'd like to answer something,
Sure.
and because I've heard a couple people mention this. And you think you can just cancel whatever you want and do things the way you wish. And the law doesn't work that way. So I do want to educate, and Sherita, I think you would know this because you were on the council in Shelby, and I remember you from that, okay? The planning commission and the board passed an ordinance. They held public hearings. People didn't come. Whether that's right, wrong, indifferent, doesn't make a bit of matter. Because an ordinance was passed that puts it into law. And once you do that, you can't just snap your fingers and change that. Doesn't work that way. Now, you want to change it, you can. There's a couple ways. The township could decide to revise the ordinance. And then if they're going to do so, well, you have to go through public hearings for that. You have to have a vote of the planning commission, and you have to have a vote of the township board. And at that point, it can be revised. Okay? As far as a referendum, I think you get into some real questionable legal issues there, once an ordinance is in place. Let me finish, Steve. I see you're getting ready to talk, okay? And I'll tell, and then there's another factor to this. If I establish a business and it is legal, and I have applied, I've done all my things, I've developed it and all that, and all of a sudden you change the rules on me, I'm going to sue. And not only am I going to sue, I am going to win. This is what they call established precedent. One of the things that we did, because both the board, the planning commission, and myself were concerned, we do listen to folks a lot more than you may think. And so we did contact our attorney to find out. And those were his exact words, was that it will be litigated and you will lose. So can something be done going forward? Well, that's a possibility. And that's not for me to decide, and that's not going to be decided here tonight either.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Yes, please.
Yeah, my name is Harold Nash. I live on 192nd Street. I get to look every day out my back door and see the growth place in the back. I get to smell it. It comes right from the west, right across my yard. You know, you guys that are giving all these stinking permits out and stuff, why don't you let them put them right next to your house? Why don't you put them downtown in Hesperia where 5 and 10 was, and let the whole community smell the crap and see all the crud that goes on with this stuff? It's ruined everything that we moved here for, to have the peace and quiet and the enjoyable time. And it's, you know, I got people right next door growing the shit, and it blows, they got fans blowing out of their basement. So every time I go outside, all I get to smell is the reek from the pot. And It's just, you know, I'm so tired of all this crap. And then there was a lot of lies because I don't think the board was honestly told all the stuff. And like the facility behind me, I didn't even know what that was until it was already being constructed. And a lot of this stuff was kept under the table, quiet and everything else. And it's a bunch of crap. Thank you.
Jennifer, may I make a comment?
Yes, Karen.
Thank you. I want to remind the Planning Commission that I spoke to the board in October. And I'd like to reiterate my comment. My personal belief is that I don't want marijuana or cannabis farms anywhere in Newfield Township. But at that time, I suggested that the permits that were standing and the businesses that were running remain, and that the board review its policies and its ordinances. And Steve just spoke to the possibility of revising an ordinance. So again, I would urge you to consider revising your ordinance, because just because it's been passed doesn't mean that it can't be revised to suit what your constituents feel is a better idea.
I'm sorry, you've already spoken. We are out of time.
I have a question for Steve. Can I not get a response from him? Oh, of course not. Okay. Wrong.
Thank you. For the Planning Commission, can I get a meeting to adjourn the public hearing? And a second? Motion by Rick, second by Wayne. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned. We will